It is the overnight market on Sunday, September 7th, 2025, and I'm already up over 11K or 4.82% today. And of course, it is mostly off the backs of Robinhood. So Robinhood is almost at $109 once again. And it really does seem like it's going to hit that 125 price target I called out, because I did say that Robinhood has the potential to either hit 125, 150, somewhere around there, or it could possibly go down to 85, 65, etc. But now that we have this announcement that Robinhood is going to be included in the S&p 500, we could definitely see some sort of a Palantir moment where it just soars another 50% from here. So obviously that's going to push it to like 150, 160-ish dollars. And then I would say at that point, Robinhood is pretty richly valued because as of right now, if they don't issue shares based off of the information that I last saw, based on the current share price and the last free cash flow per share price that I saw, it's about a 5% free cash flow yield, assuming that they don't issue any more shares. So obviously, if Robinhood starts going to 125, 150, 160, 170, etc., that's going to push that free cash flow percentage, that free cash flow per yield percentage. And then at that point, I would say it is pretty richly valued. Even though Robinhood is a high growth fintech stock, I think we're going to start seeing some diminishing returns from Robinhood's promos and where I think the market is heading in 2026, 2027. Yes, I know if everybody expects there to be a correction in 2026, the likelihood of that happening diminishes a little bit. But keep in mind, I remember back in 2019, which is about the time I got in the market, around 2018, 2019, I got in the market. And I remember even finance influencers back then, when they were a little bit less popular, I remember them making videos about 2019, 2020 recession coming, even though the pandemic, all of that, lockdowns, none of that was even, I mean, some people might have predicted it, whatever, right? They might have been talking about it like the quote unquote conspiracy pages and channels and whatnot. But I mean, people were talking about a recession back in 2019, before the 2020, right? Before 2020 happened, people were talking about a potential recession in 2019. And what do you know? It did happen. Even though it was very brief, a market crash still happened. And even back in 2021, when we saw all those IPOs, that NFT, meme stock, crypto frenzy that we were seeing, literally any company that had a name was getting an IPO and making billions of dollars. So even back then, people were saying, okay, the market is getting a little bit overvalued. People are getting a little bit too crazy. There's a little bit too many IPOs, SPACs, these NFT pictures of rocks that are selling on the internet. All of these Pokemon cards, people are paying thousands of dollars, millions of dollars for. People are flipping on the internet. They're flipping anything, right? Literally anything that has value was getting flipped. And even though people knew that a crash was going to happen and this wasn't sustainable, it still happened, right? 2022, 2023, the Fed hiked interest rates. We had that, I would call it a brief bear market, even though it was a bit longer than that 2020 correction we had, or 2020 bear market. So keep in mind, just because people expect a market crash or a correction to happen in 2026, 2027, or 2029, whatever that time frame is, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But I think right now we are starting to get in that last stage of the bull market cycle, similar to 2021 when we had those IPOs starting to roll out and those SPACs starting to happen. When I go on X, what do you know? A lot more IPO talks. I check my comments. By the way, I'll get to those comments in just a second. People are talking about IPOs, what new companies are coming out, what new investments. I need to hurry up and buy Palantir, Robinhood. So I'm starting to get that 2021 feeling again. But I do think as of right now, we could, or I think we will see that one last leg up, right? Like back when Tesla was getting included in the S&p 500, that doesn't mean it was the end of the ride. Even though back in 2021, I believe that was the peak of Tesla. So it did mark the peak for a while, but I think betting against Robinhood at this moment is pretty difficult, because another reason being I go on X and I see all these people selling covered calls on Robinhood at kind of low strike prices. I saw people selling it for 105s, 106, and even though Robinhood, let's check the price. So September 5th, at 3 o'clock, it closed at 101. I saw someone on X saying that their 105 and 106 covered calls got assigned, even though Robinhood closed right at 3 o'clock on September 5th. It closed at 101, but their 105s and 106s got assigned and called away. So he was forced to sell his Robinhood stock, even though it closed at 101. And that's because in the aftermarket, of course, it soared all the way to 107, 108, 109, 110. So those people that had those calls, they wanted those shares. So I think a lot of people betting against these types of stocks like Robinhood, a lot of people selling covered calls, a lot of people shorting it, a lot of people that are too early to bet against the bull market will probably be washed out. They'll probably get squeezed out. And then once those individuals get squeezed out, the early birds, then we will see that correction or crash or whatever comes in 2026. I don't know what's going to come. I just know that we're starting to get into that last stage where all the IPOs are going to come out, all the SPACs are going to come out. Everybody on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, on TikTok, Instagram, on YouTube, everybody has a new bright idea for a startup or a new crypto project, right? New NFT that they want to sell. So we're going to enter that last stage and then we're going to get the crash, right? So I'm kind of waiting it out. I do have 2 covered calls, as you guys know. I do have 2 covered calls on Robinhood at 170s. So that's like what, 60% upside from here, roughly. My math isn't exact, but what I'm hoping for is as it gets to 125, 150, 160, 170, whatever price it gets to, maybe even 200, then I will sell very close to money or in the money covered calls into the future, right? 2026 or maybe even 2027 calls, and then I'm going to use those covered call premiums as a cash balance, right? As a hedge. I'm going to save that money, decrease some of that margin that I've been borrowing, decrease my risk a little bit, my exposure definitely to Robinhood because it's like half of my account, it's half of my net worth. So I definitely want to decrease that amount. Let's take a look at the equity. So yeah, we're almost at 170 in equity for Robinhood. So definitely I want to lessen my exposure to it. Palantir, it is at 30K, but keep in mind, I've already maxed out my covered calls. So if it goes down, it will still hurt me, but it's not going to hurt me as much as other people. Because keep in mind, all of my principal, all of that money that I originally put into Palantir has been pulled out in the form of covered call premiums, right? And I think I even have I pulled out even more so, right? So I pulled out all of my principal and all of my profits. So now I am literally just riding on profits with Palantir. And if it goes up, it is what it is. I'll sell my stake. If it goes down or just hovers around, then I'll happily collect my call option premiums. And that's kind of where I'm at with Robinhood. I'm hoping Robinhood gets to 125, 150. Maybe 160, and then I can start selling some covered calls. Then I'll hold on to at least 1,000 shares of Robinhood because I still want to have a very big stake in Robinhood, but I also understand that I need to manage my risk and I have to lessen my risk, even though it really does hurt me because I'm the type to go big into the ones that I really believe in, like Robinhood. Back when it was, $8, $9, $10 a share, I want to go heavy. I want to own a lot of the company and I want to be there for the ride. So whenever that time comes where I have to lessen my risk, it's not as fun. To me, it's so much more fun to find these opportunities, go heavy on it, and then be there for the ride rather than taking those profits. And even though you're sitting on a lot of cash and you have a lot of profits, a lot of gains, it's just not that fun. It's so much more fun when Robinhood is $8 a share and I'm just scooping it up. But before we get into the comments, though, that's basically gonna be like the message of this video. Like, I know a lot of you guys, maybe this is your first bull market or whatever. You have to keep in mind to manage your risk, right? Because you don't want 2020 or 2022 to happen to you while you're getting so excited over all of these IPOs and whatnot, and then you just completely ruin your account. Kind of like what I did, right? I showed a lot of you guys my all-time chart. Back in the 2022 bear market, I lost all of my gains on the all-time chart, by the way. So it's not like I lost all of my gains a year to date. I literally lost all gains in my Robinhood account. I was literally flat, and I was even down some. So literally, back in 2019 to 2022, 2023, I had no gains, and I was even starting to dip into the red on my all-time. So keep in mind, you don't want to be in that position, right? You want to be well prepared. And like I said in my last videos, you want to comfortably invest aggressively when that time comes. Now we get to the comments, and we have Stunned LOL saying, how old is you? My age is no secret. I've said it multiple times in previous videos and previous posts. So instead of directly answering your question, I'm just going to annoy you a little bit and just kind of, I guess, give another lesson for those of you that didn't ask for it. I'm not too old, but I'm old enough to look at 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 21-year-olds that are super successful, right? That are already making six figures or whatnot on crypto and the stock market, or at least that's what it seems like, right? That's what they portray on the internet or on YouTube. But it's easy to see all of that and start doubting yourself and start thinking, well, I can't really do this. This guy's the same age as me, or he's younger than me, and he has a much bigger brokerage account, whatnot. But keep in mind, yeah, it sucks that this dude that's younger than you is making so much more money than you, and he's living the life that you want to live. But you can still get there if you basically hurry the hell up, right? If you stay focused and you do what you're supposed to be doing, you can still get there, right? And it's better now than never, is basically what I'm trying to say, right? So, Stunned LOL, I know that's not what you were looking for. You were probably looking for a direct answer, but sometimes I don't really give direct answers. I don't know. And T, yeah, you're asking if I seen all the new IPOs listed, the 4 that are out right now, and you give some examples like Klarna, Gemini, Figure. Hopefully, the first half of this video kind of answered your question, but like I said, this is starting to give me those 2021 vibes where all the IPOs and SPACs and NFTs are pumping like crazy. And I kind of want to avoid all of that, to be honest with you. I know Robinhood IPO'd at $35 a share, and then it went all the way up to $85, right? But I completely avoided that. I completely avoided buying Robinhood IPO. I did not buy it at 35. I did not buy it at 85. I waited it out. I waited for that bear market to come because I knew this IPO frenzy was eventually going to stop, right? The party's going to come to an end, and then I'll be able to reassess Robinhood. And thankfully I was able to. It got down to $8, $9, $10 a share. I took a look at the fundamentals. They were starting to turn things around. The technicals were starting to turn around, and boom. And I'm not sure if I answered this question in my previous video, but Joey asked, what is your today's standouts list based on? I thought that was some Robinhood list at first. So basically, it's just my own list that I put on Robinhood to do these videos very simply. Basically, to kind of organize my screen a little bit. And you'll see the NASDAQ on there for reference. You see Kava on there, but it's only because I'm actually kind of waiting for Kava. And I don't really have a price that I'm waiting for. I'm just kind of waiting to see what direction the market goes, what direction that company goes, and then I'll reassess. But basically, it's on my list because I like the company. I like their restaurants, their product. I think it's very good, even though it's very expensive. So I'm just kind of waiting it out, which is why it's on the list. But sometimes you'll see Robinhood on there. Sometimes you'll see the clothing stocks on there because recently they've been going through a bit of a short squeeze. So it's basically just the talk of the day. Maybe a company reported earnings, so it made the list. But there's not really a structure to it. It's just whatever stock I want to talk about for the day.